The camera is shaky, the meeting impromptu, but this is something the world has not seen in a long time. For the first time in nearly 6 decades, the President of the United States has met with the leader of Cuba face to face, holding what's being billed as a substantial meeting. Good evening and thank you for joining us. The history of more than 50 years of animosity between Cuba and the U.S. was rewritten in Panama today. And remarkably, the president of Cuba apologized to the U.S., calling President Barack Obama an honest man who bears no responsibility for decades of hostility. It was a monumental step forward for the U.S.-Cuba relation, but still not one that solves the many tensions between them, as our Mike LeCouture is here to tell us.
Randine, Cuba's presence at this summit was historic. There's no doubt about that. But if today is any indication, the road forward could be a long and bumpy one. It was a meeting more than 50 years in the making. President Barack Obama and his Cuban counterpart, Raul Castro, together, officially signaling the renewal of diplomatic relations. In a speech to the Summit of the Americas, Obama said the time had come to end the Cold War relationship.
The point is, the United States will not be imprisoned by the past. We're looking to the future and to policies that improve the lives of the Cuban people.
Now, Obama may have been looking to the future, but it's clear Castro wanted to air some grievances of the past. Scheduled to speak for 8 minutes and joking he had missed the 6 previous summits, the Cuban president proceeded to deliver a 48-minute speech in which he gave the room a history lesson on U.S.-Cuban relations dating back a century. Waving his finger and at times speaking forcefully, he blamed the U.S. for the economic embargo that has crippled his country.
It is true, we have endured severe hardships. Actually, 77% of the Cuban population was born under the harshness of the blockade.
And then his tone softened, noting there were 10 U.S. presidents before Obama who could have reached out to Cuba. And so he called Obama an honest man and thanked him. Now, looking forward, Castro is buoyed by indications his country will be taken off the list of states that sponsor terrorism.
We have to continue striving and supporting President Obama in his intentions to remove the blockade.
Now, for years, Canada maintained friendly relations with Cuba, but they have cooled recently. In the past, Harper opposed inviting Cuba to this summit, saying only democratically elected leaders should be here. And while the two leaders did exchange pleasantries, in his speech, Harper had a message for Castro.
So it is now our collective responsibility to build on the progress made thus far and to ensure that democracy and human rights cannot ever be taken for granted.
The Prime Minister also met with Obama on the sidelines of this summit. In a 10-minute talk, they discussed a wide range of issues like Cuba, the fight against ISIS in Syria, and Ukraine. So the summit closes with Cuba officially part of the family in this hemisphere. But clearly not everyone is ready to welcome the communist country with open arms.